Good morning and welcome to Valley Views. I'm your host, Glenn Edison, and as always, it's always good to have you. And our program is sponsored by BTC Fiber, and you can see our program on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. And today we have with us Sequatchie County Sheriff Coy Swanger. Coy, it's good to have you. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate the invitation.
And Coy, you're running for re-election, but let's talk about, forget about the election right now. Let's talk about what's been going on in the county. Now I know when I see the news and the crime news, fentanyl's been taking on a little bit more here.
So the largest problem that we currently have, yes, and it's drugs, and it's drugs basically in every community right now. That is the problem, and one of the issues is that they're so prevalent. They're cheap. They're easy to get, and that's the problem that every community is facing here today. I say on multiple times that sometimes the government legislates themselves out of one drug problem into another. Right. When the methamphetamine first came here, and then the government figured out that they tightened down on the ephedrine, they pushed everybody off of methamphetamine over onto opioids, and then the government tightened down onto the opioids, and then they shoved everybody off onto heroin, and now the heroin's turned into the fentanyl.
Yeah, and and fentanyl, out of all the drugs, they're all deadly.
Correct.
But fentanyl's pretty rough.
So the issue with the fentanyl is, the problem with the fentanyl is people, sometimes they take the fentanyl, and sometimes the pure fentanyl, and they press it into other drugs. So people may think that they're purchasing a hydrocodone or Xanax when in fact they're purchasing pure fentanyl, which could be deadly.
Right. And we've had some cases around in the valley, even in here, that's been the case.
That is correct. That's correct.
And of course, I'm not a fan of drugs anyway. I know you're not.
Sure.
But that's one of the things you have to be careful about if you're going to go that route.
Well, and then the issue with the fentanyl that brings up another set of circumstances is the fentanyl sometimes is soluble. So and it's in a powder form. It can be in a powder form or a pill form or whatever. So it can be airborne, or it's soluble through the skin. So if the officer's searching the vehicle or searching the defendant or whatever under an arrest, they make contact with that, then it can also cause them to overdose as well.
Right, and that's sad because you don't know and you're just doing your job.
Correct.
And well, let's focus on some other things. I know when you got elected, there's probably some things you wanted to do, and maybe some things you couldn't do because you were limited as to the laws and so forth. But what are some of the things that you have done over the years?
So when we took office on September the 1st, 2018, a correctional officer inside the jail was making a low pay. They were making $10.38 an hour, and we asked them to be basically locked up with 120 inmates for a 12-hour shift, and I was having a hard time keeping correctional officers on staff. Actually, today we have more staff than we've had since I've been there. So we worked with the commission, and we come up with a pay plan that we felt like that would work out with the current commission that is there, and one that the taxpayer could afford to pay. We did that with no tax increase. So to be able to come up with a pay plan that was under the current budget for the monies that were already there was tremendous, and that worked out. That worked out in our favor, and that worked out great until COVID hit. Yeah. And then COVID hit, and that brought in a whole new set of circumstances where I got the pay plan up to where at least they can see over a 5-year period what they're going to be making. When COVID hit, I'm sitting in a local restaurant, and I see a sign on the wall that says starting pay $14 an hour and $1,500 sign-on bonus. So that brought on a whole new set of challenges for us.
Right, and it's almost like people during COVID and everything, and now recently, like they don't want to work. And that's why the incentives and the higher pay.
That's the problem. I don't think there's jobs everywhere. People are hiring. I mean, we're still hiring, and we generally continue to hire. But yeah, COVID brought on a whole new set of problems that we never had to deal with before.
Right, and that was kind of a sad time, but you just had to even wearing the mask when you went out.
So, and not only that, but I mean, you think about the COVID in the jail population. So We did really good for the first 12 to 14 months. We didn't have any cases of COVID because basically we were quarantining everybody when they come in. So what happened pre-COVID was you get arrested for a crime and you come in and you're not going to be able to post bond immediately, or you don't have a bond, let's say. We were basically putting you in general population within a day or two. Well, COVID stopped all that because we had to quarantine people for a 14-day period to start with. So we were constantly playing a shell game with the inmates, where we had booking was full, medical was full, court holding was full before they ever made it back. Into general population.
So you're already overpopulated.
Already overpopulated. Plus, we're running out of places to put people. So it's a constant shell game, and even going to court. You can't have the inmate who's been there 2 days mixed in with the inmate who's been there 6, because then the quarantine time starts all over again. So we're having to keep all those people separated. But with that said, even though COVID has kind of slacked off a little bit now, and it's not as prevalent as it was, we're still quarantining people for 10 days. So we're still facing those challenges, even though we're continuing to do that. So. And
just think, if you were at the old jail where you started.
Yes. Yes, we went from a 24-bed facility to a 96-bed facility, and on average I have over 100 inmates on any given day. So.
And do you keep in the jail state inmates or other inmates from other counties that maybe they're overpopulated?
Yes. Yeah, we have some inmates. We have very few from other counties. Now we sometimes have some that need assistance that we provide, but for the most part, we have our own inmates, or we have our own state convicted inmates that Tennessee Department of Corrections just hadn't either sent for yet, or the time's not there for them to be able to go to state prison. So they're serving their sentence here in the local jail.
Well, you mentioned your employees. About how many employees do you have now?
So total there's 50 employees, 50. And the overwhelming majority of those, 27 of those employees, actually work in the jail. So we have 50 employees. So that leaves the other 23 over on the patrol and the criminal investigation side, which that includes myself and my administrative staff and all my admin people.
And I know. I've known for years, Sequatchie County, the Sheriff's Department is kind of at limits, because if you're patrolling one area, especially at night, and you get a call at another mountain, you're limited as far as your.
So the numbers of patrol officers that are there, we talked about, and everybody from every community or the commission or myself understands that my numbers, I need more officers than I do. But the issue was because the pay was so low that you could give me an extra 25 officers, but I'm not going to be able to fill them, because what was in essence what was happening is officers were coming into here, they were getting hired, or they were coming out of the jail, they were going to the academy, and once they got 6 months under their belt, they're going to another agency where they can make $3 or $4 more on the hour. So within that, we got that pay plan up to where it's comparable now as well. And like I said, I have less turnover now, but yes, I do need more officers, and that's something that we'll have to face, or either myself or my opponent, either one, whoever's the next sheriff, is going to have to face those numbers in the next budget.
And I know in the past, other agencies have been willing to come and help when needed, in case, let's just use terrorism, but we haven't had any terrorism per se.
So we have a really good working relationship with Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. They've been tremendous in helping us when we need help and we need numbers, because we just, in essence, don't have the numbers sometimes to handle all, especially like armed suspect calls or barricaded suspect calls. We just don't have the manpower to be able to handle that. So they've been really, really good to be able to come over and help with that. The 12th Judicial Drug Task Force that's based out of Marion County, that covers all 6 of the districts or all 6 of the counties in the 12th district. They've been really good to help us in our campaign against drugs, and also all of the sheriffs in the district sat on that board. So they've been a tremendous help. Plus, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Narcotics Division has been a big help to us. They actually have an office there in our building in the Justice Center.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Well, that's good to know. And because I'm sure there's many times you have to ask, say, hey, I need your help.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we do it basically on a daily basis. Yeah. So yeah, we're always having to ask for help.
I mean, y'all are experienced, but in some of the areas you need expertise in a certain area that
Sure.
maybe you don't have or have little experience
Sure,
with.
sure. So, everybody, we're not a large department, so, especially when you get into the criminal investigation division, every detective that I have has to be basically trained in all aspects of crime. I don't have a property crimes division or a crimes against person division. Everybody pretty much is working everything that comes in on their shift, so they have to be very well rounded in what they're doing. But yes, with that, they're not afraid to ask for help either.
Right.
So.
And you don't have a CID department and all that.
Well, we do have a criminal investigation division, so I have 4 detectives, but there again, they're pretty much on call, several days throughout the week working the shift. So, but they all have to work, whatever crime comes in on their shift, they're responsible for taking control of. So.
And a lot of people don't realize that there's more to being a police officer or a sheriff's deputy than just patrolling.
Sure.
I know they do a lot of community things as well, and they're not out there just to write a ticket. Sometimes they're out there to help.
Sure, and that happens all the time, and I tell people all the time that anyone wearing a badge today wants to be a police officer, because this is not a good time to be wanting to be a law enforcement officer, especially in a smaller county when you could go places and make more money. So everyone that I have that wants to be a law enforcement officer, they're here because they want to be, or they want to be a part of the community. But within that, office of sheriff, basically the sheriff in Tennessee is a constitutional office that has no constitutional duties. So all of my duties are laid out by statute in Tennessee Code Annotated, and those 4 duties are the keeper of the peace, serving civil process, attending the court, and running the jail. And 50% of those 4 statute requirements are running the jail. So the other 50%, would be serving the process and managing all the courts. The courts are a big thing that people on the front side, they don't really understand. They think that we have court, and we have 1 court, but that's not the case. We have 3 circuit court judges, we have a general sessions judge, a chancery court judge, a juvenile judge, and a child support judge. So at any given time, 2 or 3 of those courts can be going on at any given time, and I have to have someone there for court security or running the magnetometer. Right. So it takes a lot of people to run a court.
Right, it does. When I've been in the court, I've seen that process go, and it's constantly just and sometimes the courtroom only has a few, and then sometimes it has a lot. Sure.
So jury trials, in essence of jury trials, you have a lot of just regular court on a weekly basis that takes that manpower.
Right. So you really need more manpower, but you need the money there to.
Well, so I do need more manpower, but that I'm also understanding that manpower has to be contingent on what's acceptable, number 1, to the commission to be able to prove, but number 2, to be able to be understood that what's acceptable for the taxpayer to pay. We've done really good without raising taxes over the past several years, and I'm fortunate for that. So we want to be able that some people are paying all the taxes that they can, and I'm one of them, and I don't want my taxes to go up either. So we have to come up with ways to be able to fund those with as best that we can.
Right, and because when they need you, they want you there.
Sure, and that's priority for them, and that's priority for us. So.
Right, and so you're on call all the time. Every one of your officers, really.
Sure.
Because there might be a situation where you need more.
Sure, absolutely. There sometimes at nighttime when there's 3 deputies out, I mean that might not be enough if something bad's going on. So yes, in essence, everyone is on call 24 hours a day. So.
Yeah, I mean cases like, which we really don't have that often, active shooters and things like that you see on television a lot or in bigger cities.
Yeah, sure. We have crime just like everybody else does, but we've been very fortunate that we've not had as much of that violent crime as other counties, even our own size around in this area have had. So we've been very, very fortunate.
Well, that excuse me. That was one thing I was going to bring up. We don't have the crime that other places do, but a lot of people say, well, I want to move there because they have a low crime rate. But the reason we have a low crime rate is because we're a smaller community. We don't have
Well, we don't have the numbers, and we don't have the types of crime that other places have. Now, like I said, we're not immune from that.
Right.
And drugs, with our drug problem, it does bring in a different type of element that we do have and we do deal with on a daily basis. But I tell people every day, probably a high 60 or 70 percentile of the folks that we arrest on a daily basis are somehow related back to that drug element.
Right. Well, do you ever get cases where people have been arrested and they come back later and say, "Hey, thank you for doing that because it straightened me out"?
We have that all the time. Sometimes folks, it's like I tell people, if you arrest someone, you're probably going to see them in Walmart tomorrow, or after they get out of jail or after they make bond. So dealing with those folks, they've come back and said, "Hey, I appreciate it," and we try to treat them, with dignity and respect as much as we can, even though we're having to arrest them. So.
Right, because I've seen where if you treat them, like you say, with dignity and respect, they're not going to go back and badmouth you and get mad at you.
Sure. Well,
obviously you're being arrested.
Right.
You're being arrested.
Well, there's a faction that doesn't like law enforcement, no matter what you do.
Right.
You can't, that you're going to have that. But the overwhelming majority of the people that we arrest, and the overwhelming majority of the folks that I have in custody in jail, are actually really good people. They just made a bad choice, and they're having to pay for the choices that they made and the consequences that they're doing. And it's my job to carry out their sentence of that. So.
Right. And I know when I've been involved with jail ministries, a lot of those people have burned all their bridges, and when they get out, they don't have anybody to turn to.
Sure.
Do y'all offer anything like, here's some people you need to talk to?
Sure. Yeah, we do, and we have several programs that are going on right now. Our jail ministry program has continued on just like it has. We have some workforce development programs that come through that tries to get them back on their feet and tries to get them a job or get them placement once they get out, or help them find
Right.
work, which now, like we talked about a moment ago, people are hiring, all over the place now. So some of those programs, some mental health programs that we have that obviously sometimes the mental health world, jail's not a place for
Right.
everyone necessarily with mental health problems if they've not committed a crime. So some of those programs as well that we're working on currently.
And I've talked to some people in the political process that's they're not against jail, but for some criminals, jail's not the alternative.
It's
they
not.
need to get them some help.
It's not. It's not. And we currently have every defendant, in essence, that comes through the court system at some point in time has an opportunity, especially if they have drug addiction. They have an opportunity through their attorney or through the district attorney's office during a plea to attend a drug court or to attend a rehabilitation court that tries to get them off of their addiction before their sentence is out.
Because if that program works like it should, they'll get off of that and they won't return to it.
Right.
That's the whole purpose.
Right, and those numbers. I wish I could tell you that everybody that goes to a rehab program completes that rehab program, but the reality is it's a very small percentage
Right.
that completes that program. So, they have to have some skin in the game. They have to want to complete that program to be able
Right.
to do that.
They sure do, and it's the want to.
Yeah, and we encourage them. We encourage them to do that as well. So.
Right. And the jail, it's a nice facility. I've been in it, of course, not as a prisoner. I want everybody to know that. just visiting. But it's a nice facility. It beats what we've had in the past.
It is, and when I was elected sheriff in 2018, that facility was coming up on 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. So we were starting to have the issues with the maintenance, especially like with the door locks and the camera systems and things like that. So it's been a challenge to keep that up into the maintenance of what you see today. But and that's not a credit to me. That's a credit to my staff and to the folks that do a good job keeping that facility up and running.
Well, and they have to understand it's just like any other county building. You have to take care of the water, the lights,
Yes.
and like I said, the security system. Because if you didn't have a security system,
Sure.
that'd be rough.
Sure, it would be.
And so it's just like everything else. As it gets older, it's going to fall apart a little bit, and you have to update constantly.
Right.
And so, And speaking of updating, I guess there's training that you and your officers have to go through on a yearly basis.
That's continuing. Yeah. So the training program, obviously when an officer gets hired, they have to go through the basic police academy, which currently right now is 12 weeks. But even after that, every officer has to attend a minimum of 40 hours of training in their respective field, whether that be patrol, criminal investigations, whatever that is. But also the correctional staff has to be trained, and they also have to continue on with a minimum of 40 hours of training to be a corrections officer. And the majority of them, the majority of everyone in that building gets obviously more than 40 hours, but they're mandated by the state to have at least 40. So.
All right, well, good. Explain your work release program, because a lot of people may not understand.
So, well, there's a little bit of a difference between the work release program and our work program. So the work release program would be that you're sentenced to go to jail, and as a part of your plea agreement, you agree, or the district attorney and the judge agree to allow you to be released to go to work. So basically what you do is you come in at night, you serve your time, we let you out in the morning, and you go to your job and you go to work. And then once you get out of work, you report back to us at night. That would be what, in essence, is work release. Our work program is we currently have about 7 or 8 inmates that are allowed to go out on a work program where they have supervision from a county employee who is managing them on a daily basis. And what those guys are doing is one crew is slated as a litter crew, so they're out on the sides of the road and they're picking up trash and litter through a state grant that we received to fund that. The other crew does grass mowing and picks up garbage and things like that on a continuing basis. But their primary job is taking care of facilities and grass mowing, especially in the summertime. They do a little bit of maintenance on county buildings and things like that as well. So that helps to offset some of those budgets in some of these other county offices, the courthouse, the old middle school that the county owns, and some of these other buildings that necessarily may not have a full-time maintenance guy that those inmates are able to maintain some of that.
And I've been around some of those inmates on that work program, and they're really good guys, and they know they're not going to mess up.
They are. Well, the goal of everyone who is serving any kind of sentence, especially over a year sentence in the jail, that goal is to make it to that work crew, because you're out in the day, you're not locked up inside another jail cell with another 50, 60 inmates. Plus you're outside, you're mowing grass, you're kind of passing the time a little bit. Plus they do get a little bit of they do get some jail credit for that the Tennessee Department of Corrections allows them to get some jail credit, which knocks a little bit of the time off their sentence.
So that's good.
It is.
That's good, because the ones that I've met and seen out working, they seem, they're happy to be out doing the job.
They are, and they do a good job, and they do a good job for the community. So.
Yes, they do. I mean, that's a good thing for them to do, because I've seen them out working on the 4th of July event, and barricades and things like that, and I've seen them do a lot of trash pickup and other things.
They do Valley Fest. They do
Right.
trash at Valley Fest. They do the 4th of July, and like I said, some of these government buildings that they maintain and take care of.
Yeah, and it's people that you don't have to worry about them escaping.
No,
or anything
no.
like that.
They're on a downhill sentence. So the majority of those folks that are out either on that litter crew or that work crew, their sentence is fixing to expire probably within 6 months. So it would be, it would be not in their best interest to try to mess that up and pick up new charges, and in essence not get out on their out day. So
yeah, and then not be on the workforce
right,
anymore.
Right.
And well, that's a good thing. Well, what are some of the other things going on that you might want to tell us that?
Pretty much it's budget time, obviously, and we're constantly working on the budget right now, trying to get the budget in, trying to make sure that the budget balances out. So that's the big things that are going on right now. Just trying to work some of that. So,
well, I wish you well on that, because I know the budget is a hassle for anybody.
It is a hassle, but like I said, we try to balance that out with what the taxpayer's able to pay. So
right, and if you try to increase anything, it's it's kind of hard.
Right.
You have to justify everything, and of course, in police work, I'd let you justify that. I think.
Right. Well, everyone wants law enforcement.
Right.
But we want to be able to give the best possible service that we can at the absolute cheapest price that we can
Right.
pay, because there again, you know, I'm a taxpayer as well, so you know, I'm very cognizant of that. And you know, I'm not frugal with the taxpayer dollar. I mean, we provide the money and we buy and service what we need to service. But at the end of the day, I'm also, you know, got the reins on it to make sure that we're not overspending as well. So
Right. I mean, you have to buy certain weapons that your officers don't buy, and other things
Right.
that you would need to protect the community.
Right, that's correct.
And I mean, there's things out there that the community don't have access to that you do.
Correct.
And so you need those things
Sure.
to protect the community.
Sure. And then, you know, then you look at, you know, total on our budget. We talked a little bit about budget, but you know, total budget, we're running a little over $3 million budget. You know, for 50 employees and 120 inmates, and the things that have happened this year and some of the challenges that we faced this year that we didn't necessarily have was, you know, gas has doubled.
Oh, yes.
Food has went up. Those
Yes.
food costs have gone up. So we're continuously trying to monitor that to make sure that, you know, we're not going to run out before the end of the budget. But then also within the next budget, we have to try to plan for those increases to stay there.
Right.
So that's the challenge right now. So you know, we're trying to balance those numbers out.
So you're going to invest in beanie weenies and crackers.
Well, they get a little bit more than that, but yeah, but yeah, too.
Yeah, I mean, the food has gone out the roof.
It has.
And so's the gasoline.
It has.
And you know, when you going from Signal Mountain to Cagle Mountain, that's, you know, a lot of mileage.
It is a lot of miles, a lot of
And,
miles, a lot of gas.
Yeah, and they're not electric vehicles.
No, they're not. They're not.
Well, Coy, I appreciate your time. and
Absolutely,
Thank you for being
thank
here
you.
today.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Yes, sir.
And folks, you can remember to be on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. And until next time, have a great day. Hey everybody, this is Glenn Edison from Valley Views. We appreciate you watching our shows, and we would like for you to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative, your full-service telecommunications provider right here in the Sequatchie Valley.